Am I live? I think I am. Let's correct the focus here. So in this stream, we'll be analyzing the birth charts of anyone who would like, basically, as long as they can stay awake long enough to do that. So I'm a little bit tired. And I'm gonna check on the integrity of the stream here real quick. It's stream here real quick. That sounds quite good. It's stream here real quick. That sounds quite good. Okay. So we're just gonna kind of wait for people to show up. Hey there, Panic. Good to see you again. Just gonna be looking at birth charts here in the stream while I can, as long as I can remain awake. It was Chris from earlier who we were last looking at, and I told him that I would come back and analyze his some more, but I don't think he's here yet. He said he'd be back, but I guess we'll just find out. I'm going to tweet that I'm live. See if I can share the stream directly. Yeah, hopefully we get some people here this late. It is really late, but just have to see. I feel much calmer now because I'm tired. I'm live again, and we're looking at birth charts. Can't get enough of going live. It's late even there. Yeah, I guess it would be by now after midnight. Let's make sure that posted correctly. And good. So, how are you? We're just sort of waiting here. Hopefully Chris returns. How are you on this fine October night? Let's see, he gave me his chart earlier. All right, but tired, yeah. Yeah, same here. I thought I had so much energy to come back for another stream. And then once I had some food, I was just like, wow, I feel like I'm ready to go to bed. But my desire to keep streaming was too strong, so I came back. Plus, I basically said that I would. So Chris's chart is interesting. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Like, my body seems to want to be awake during the nighttime and not really want to be awake during the daytime that much, if at all. But I wonder if I'd get more viewers on here if I streamed like earlier, like in the evening, perhaps. On Chris, don't miss your reading. Let's see, what else do we have here that I didn't mention earlier? You would be able to be on here more? Okay. Well, I definitely want to stream earlier. I just always end up being up so late and getting up so late. And then after I get up, there's always a bunch of stuff I want to do first before I stream. But I'm going to try to get on here earlier, I think. Let's see, Chris has a sesquisquare between his Jupiter and Pluto. I didn't see that earlier. Oh, I always wake up late. Well, usually. Today I got up around 1:30 my time, and that's actually like early for me, at least compared to how I've been lately. And then I didn't go live until much later, but I don't know. There's always a lot of stuff I like to do before I go live. And today I also gave myself a bit of a haircut, which in and of itself took up extra time. And then I was having all those technical difficulties. So like originally, I probably would have been live around 9:30 my time, which I think would be 6:30 your time. But those technical difficulties like slowed it down, and I don't know, made it take until, I can't really remember, but like it was around 11 or something, I think. So that was a bit unfortunate. Let's see, Chris has a half square between his Mars, which is then a half square to his Saturn. Or a half square between his Moon and Mars, I mean. That would theoretically put the emotional side of him in conflict with the action-oriented side of him, which then in turn would be in conflict with the Saturn side of him, so the order and structure side of him. I guess I should wait until he gets here to describe more of this stuff. Wake up late too, people are always mad at me for it. Are they? No one really gets mad at me for it. I think people just expect it from me by now. Well, I mean, if you want, while we're waiting for Chris, I could read more of your birth chart, or you could ask me questions or whatever. I don't really care. People in my life expect it, don't accept it. I see. Yeah. That's one of the like kind of hot button things for me, or one of the things that can really, I don't know, trigger my angry side if someone's too persistent with it. Like if someone wants to make a really big deal out of my waking up so late and staying up so late and saying it's like bad or inappropriate or whatever, I don't know why, but that really activates my rebellious side, and I can turn into quite the different person if pushed too far in that direction, I guess. But I try to be my nice self as much as possible. Yeah, I'm thinking I'll do this stream and hopefully it goes well. And then maybe afterwards, I'll turn on a little Netflix, maybe watch some Full Metal Alchemist, since I've been watching a lot of that lately, and then go to bed. Chris has a North Node Saturn opposition, which theoretically means that his life purpose is somehow going to be tied in with opposing Saturnian things. So that could be order and structure, that could be authority, that could be reality itself. Yeah, Netflix is quite delightful. I can only find so much stuff on there that I like, though. And I just got access to it again just recently, actually, like a month ago, so it's been quite nice. Let's see. Well, I hope Chris doesn't mind my talking about his chart while he's not here, but I guess I should try to stick to the theme of the live stream. His north node is in a square with his moon, so that's also going to pit his life purpose against his emotions and moods and such things in some way. It's in a sextile with his Uranus, and so he's probably going to have a very unusual life purpose, perhaps a rebellious one or something of this nature. Of course, he said he enjoys being, or he's a Christmas elf, or whatever the proper name for that was. I can't remember right now, I'm too tired. But like he was doing that Christmas elf thing, which is quite the Uranian thing in and of itself. So it could be his life purpose to be different in this way. Eleven and a half minutes in, he's not here yet. Come on, Chris, come back to us. Hello there. Yes, I am. We were waiting for someone, but he isn't here yet. So if you want to give me your birthday, I can take a look at your birth chart for you. Let's see. My view counter says 1 right now, though, so did they get disconnected? Or maybe it's wrong. I don't know. Now it says 2. Don't really know what's going on. Now it says 1 again. Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes I can't even trust the view counter. Like, now it's down to 1 again. So weird. YouTube's been kind of weird all night. Anyway, I'm not sure who all can hear me right now, but if you give me your birthday, I can look at your birth chart for you. Shut down yesterday. I know, I remember that. Yeah. That happened conveniently enough for me. It was right after I was done watching a video, and I needed to go get ready for the night, and so it didn't really affect me, but yeah, I remember that. I was glad I was back in time for the stream that I did. So let's see. Facebook wasn't working for me either, but I didn't hear anyone complain about Facebook. Huh, that is strange. I almost never I rarely ever use Facebook anymore, so I wouldn't know about that. But interesting. So, since I think you're the only one here right now, am I correct in remembering that your birthday is October 30th, 2002? And is it maybe 3:53 a.m.? I don't know how I remember these things, but if so, you're a Sun Scorpio and a Moon Leo. Cool. Well, maybe I can just take a brief look at your chart then. We're sort of waiting. See if I can resize this window. Yeah, you were the one who has the double grand air trine, which is something I've never even seen before. Let's see. I don't know. Do you want me to go like all onto your chart? I don't even really know what to do for this stream because I thought Chris was going to come back and I had his chart ready and everything. I was ready to dig right into it. Now he's not here. So I don't know what to do. But oh well. Let me go right here. Plug in some data, see what happens. Probably doesn't live on the internet like you. Yeah, he said that he would be up all night. So I thought, oh, well, he should be back then, but he's not here. Let's see here. Well, this has been a fun night regardless. The stream earlier was a lot of fun. We got into all kinds of stuff. I enjoyed that. Despite the technical difficulties early on. All right, well, I guess we're just gonna have to improvise. Wonder what happened to Bella Bell. I hope the connection isn't like bad. I'm gonna try pulling it up on my phone. And here we go. Here we go. Connected just fine for me. And that's from a different YouTube account too, so yeah, I don't know what's going on. Although it says we have more people now. Hello, hello, hello. I'm doing birth charts. If anyone would like to give me their birthday, and I can look at your chart. Hello there, welcome back. So you can give me just your birthday, even better is your birthday and birth time. And also if you want, you can give me just the approximate location of where you were born, and then I can pull up even more information. All right, 124.74, 6:07 a.m. All right. Oh no, are we blurry? Let's try to fix that. Okay. and in California. Okay. There we go again. Wait. Yeah, sorry if we get a little blurry. This webcam is like that. Okay, here we go. January 24th, 1974, 6:07 a.m., Los Angeles, California. We're going to make sure that we're looking at the ascendant in midheaven as well. Okay, so you have the sun in Aquarius, the ascendant in midheaven. We'll get into that. I just want to make sure I have all the points active on here. You have the sun in Aquarius, conjunct Venus, actually. So right off the bat, that tells me, wait a minute, funny enough, so does, wait. Yeah, so does Asher, who is also here, Panic, yeah. You've both got the sun conjunct Venus. That's very interesting. The chances of that are like astronomical, but cool. So you've got the sun conjunct Venus in Aquarius. That means that your sense of self and self-identity is going to be tied in with the idea of Venus and like the feminine principle, and beauty is probably very important to you and stuff like that. You're very connected to that Venus energy. Let's see here. And your moon is also in Aquarius. You're a double Aquarius in your sun and moon, and it's conjunct to your Mercury in Aquarius. You got a lot of Aquarius energy. So just Aquarius in general, that's going to have you feeling or being very intellectually detached from things, very much in the mental world and very intellectual in general. You're probably very smart. You're able to go through information easily and understand things easily, understand concepts easily. You see the world through mental eyes, through intellectual eyes. And having the moon conjunct Mercury within 2 degrees is going to connect your emotions to your intellect, basically speaking. And having Mercury in Aquarius means that not only do you have the sun and moon in Aquarius, but Mercury in Aquarius means that you're that much more going to think like an Aquarius. And as if as if that wasn't enough, you also have Jupiter in Aquarius at 19 degrees. So sort of conjunct to your moon, like within just under 4 degrees, it looks like. And so that is, again, going to, first of all, amp up your Aquarian tendencies, the intellectual stuff and all that. And it's also likely to put a bit more of a spotlight on your emotions. However, with all of this Aquarius energy that you have, you're probably able to remain quite detached from your emotions, essentially. So, like, you can feel your emotions well enough, and maybe they're even strong at times with that Jupiter vibe, but you're also able to maintain a level of intellectual detachment from them. Let's see here. Okay, stream looks good. Now, what else do we have? There's a trine coming from your midheaven to your, make sure I get this right, to your Aquarius Jupiter. So your midheaven is in Libra. So your career in this life is going to be likely about Libran things. So Libra is another air sign like Aquarius. So we have, again, this intellectual perspective, but in this case, Libra, a sense of fairness, a sense of justice, a sense of balance, seeking harmony, being diplomatic, seeing both sides of things, a career that has to do with those sorts of things. However, your midheaven is conjunct to your Uranus, also in Libra, 27 of Libra. And so that means that your career is also likely to, I would say, either be very erratic at times or be something quite unusual, quite different, maybe even both, perhaps. There may be some instability, and or it might be that you do something unusual for your career. Now, your midheaven being trine to your Jupiter is theoretically going to mean that a lot of your focus is on your career. Midheaven is your career, basically, like midheaven in Libra. That's, how do I explain this properly? When you're looking at your chart, it's like a representative of the sky, essentially, at the time that you were born. And the midheaven is what is right at the top of it, more or less. And it marks the beginning of your 10th house. Wait, we got a blur. Thank you very much. Let me fix that. Okay, good. So the midheaven marks the beginning of your 10th house of career. And so with it being trine to Jupiter, there's a very good chance that your focus is on that a lot, because Jupiter magnifies everything that it touches, essentially. And what's the other thing I was going to say about that? It could also be possibly, like, I wouldn't say this is for sure the case, but it might also be that your career has to do with Jupiterian things. So things like belief systems, the sense of expansion, positive thinking, optimism, perhaps. That's more just a possibility. I wouldn't say that that's extremely likely, but that could be a thing. Or you might find that a career like that would be advantageous. Also one that is perhaps a bit unusual, with Uranus being conjunct your midheaven, would be to your advantage. So let's see what else we have. Your rising sign is Capricorn. So that's like your outward expression to the world. And so Capricorn, I personally am a Capricorn, a very earthy sign, very strong, very stable, interested in order and structure, security, stability, very logical, very practical minded, very hard worker. Capricorns are the worker bees of the zodiac typically. And what's the other thing I was going to say about them? I should be a motivational speaker. Oh yeah, I think I could see that with this here. You also have Chiron in your third house, which third house of communication. So motivational speaker could be quite good in that area. But so your outward presentation to the world is very Capricorn-like. So again, the order and structure, the logic, the sound mind, and everything. And that's only going to be backed up by all of your Aquarius energy, your Venus, Sun, Mercury, Moon, and Jupiter, all in Aquarius. You're likely to be a very logical person. That said, let's see what Neptune is doing. Your Neptune is at 9 of Sagittarius and is in a sextile with your Pluto and in a half square to your Uranus. Let's see. Those aspects. Let's see, Neptune sextile Pluto. Got to be honest, I'm not as familiar with that, and so we can perhaps look that up later. But you do have Neptune and Sagittarius, which they have an interesting connection because to put this as simply as I can, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which, as I was saying, is all about expansion and positive thinking and dreams and imagination. Well, Neptune is like Jupiter with no limits. Neptune is about expanding so much that you fill the entire universe, and is also very much about dreams and imagination. So even though like primarily you have all this like logical Aquarius energy and also the Capricorn rising sign that's also very logical, there may be a part of you that is still very much in tune with your dreams or creativity, idealism, things like that. But I would say most likely, most of the time, your more logical and practical mind is probably going to dominate, essentially. But there's still that part of you, that Neptune and Sagittarius, that's going to have that connection to dreams and creativity. That would be my best guess at that, anyway. Now, your Saturn in Gemini, 2850 of Gemini, is in a harmonious trine with your midheaven at 2344 of Libra. So that's going to bring a lot of structure and order and form to your career. I'm an artist, abstract painter. Ah, interesting. Well, there you go. Anything artistic, I would more or less associate with Uranian energy, because artists, I mean, you can't just say all artists, but artists in general seem to be people who think differently and, just have a different sort of vibe to them than the rest. And that's what Uranus is. Uranus is the planet that is different from all the rest, basically speaking. Now, interestingly here, your Aquarius sun is in a harmonious trine with your Pluto in Libra. And so that's going to place an emphasis on illuminating the dark side of things. And, geez, I'm coughing. And bringing harmony between, say, your ego or sense of self or conscious mind and the part of you that is powerful, transformative, all or nothing, the dark side of yourself, basically, and the dark side of life, perhaps. There's this idea of bringing light to darkness when we have Sun trine Pluto. So that's how I would look at that. You may feel like you have an all or nothing personality, perhaps. A lot of times people with strong aspects to Pluto will feel that way. Let's see, your Venus is also trine your Pluto, being conjunct your Sun. Your Jupiter is in a sesquisquare with your Pluto. So you might find it a little bit difficult, sort of beneath the surface, to reconcile the Jupiter, like positive thinking, expansion, optimism part of yourself with the Pluto, dark, powerful, deep, transformational part of yourself. That can be an area that you may want to try to bring harmony to. Your ascendant is square your Pluto, and so there could be a challenge in this life between your sort of outward expression and this deep, dark part of yourself, and transformation, all or nothing, that sort of thing. Let's see. Your North Node is in a sextile to your Uranus, so that tells me that your life purpose is connected to being different, to being unique, being an innovator, creative thinking, things like this. Your life's, or what I'm even saying, your North Node is also opposite your Saturn. So that tells me that your life purpose is also tied into sort of opposing authority in some way, or maybe opposing order and structure, or challenging the status quo, challenging set standards and things like this. Let's see what else. There's a sesquisquare between your north node and your Mars in Taurus. Huh. That is odd. Everyone's chart who I've looked at tonight has Mars in Taurus, I think, or many of them did. But anyway, north node sesquisquare Mars in Taurus. That's going to be another thing that's kind of beneath the surface, but a challenge that involves harmonizing your life purpose with the part of you that takes action, that is assertive and aggressive and willing to act, basically. So there could be a challenge in that area. And then more north node stuff. There is a half square. Actually, no, there's a half square between your ascendant and, let me make sure I get this right. Let me calculate this just right. Let's see, if we went to 19 of Capricorn and then went down by 15, we get to 4. And so, yes, my throat's killing me again. There is a half square between your ascendant and your Jupiter. So, first of all, if we just look at this in terms of Jupiter, basically, this could amplify your outward expression, your Capricorn rising sign. And so it may amplify, that hard worker aspect, the order and structure aspect, the wanting to manifest things aspect. But with it being a half square, it may also be, difficult to harmonize, your sort of expression with the world with your optimism or positive thinking. Or it can manifest as a situation, and only you know, of course, but a situation where there's too much, because Jupiter can, with it being always bigger, better, more, it can have a tendency at times to be bigger, better, more, bigger, better, more, bigger, better, more, until it's just way too much. And so there might be a bit of a challenge there around excess. Oh no, we're blurry. Let me fix that. All right, so take a brief look at your houses. I'm not going to go over like every little one, unless you really want me to. Just pick out the stuff that looks most interesting to me. Your Sun-Venus conjunction is in your first house, and so a lot of your focus is probably on yourself and like self-expression and things of this nature. You may be somewhat of a go-getter, especially with that Capricorn ascendant. And your Jupiter, Moon, and Mercury, which are all more or less conjunct, they're in your second house. Good night, Panic. Thanks for watching. Hope you sleep well and have a good night. Your Jupiter, Moon, Mercury conjunction are all in your second house, and that's going to bring a focus to financial matters. Let's see here. Thank you. Thank you for telling me about the blurriness. The never-ending blurry challenge. It's like we're Neptune on stream here. All right, so yeah, a lot of emphasis to financial matters. Now, Jupiter in the second house, theoretically, is quite good for money. So, I mean, I don't know, this can vary, but my guess would be that you have more luck with money when it comes, or than most people do, basically. Like, you have more luck with money than the average person. And let's see what else we have here. Mars in Taurus and your fourth house may have you be one who is very careful about what action you take, I would say. And in a half square to your Saturn, perhaps concerned about your actions negatively affecting authority or order and structure in some way, something like this. And so that could be an area of challenge. Let's see. Uranus in the 10th, again, we have this idea of the unusual career, the unpredictable career, the different career. And then this is interesting. Your North Node in your 12th house, well, the 12th house talks about stuff that is hidden. And so your North Node, your life purpose, may have to do with all things that are hidden, or it could be that your life purpose is something that is basically hidden, that you keep hidden, or that is even hidden from your conscious awareness or something of this nature. It's also interesting that with your North Node at 2640 of Sagittarius, that means your South Node is going to be at 2640 of Gemini, which is conjunct your Saturn within 2 degrees and 10 minutes, so just over 2 degrees. The South Node drains energy. And so, as one theory would have it, having your South Node conjunct Saturn would sort of drain the part of you that is order and structure focused, which may be a bit paradoxical because you're also a Capricorn rising, and that is that Saturnian energy. So my best guess at this, my best theory would be to say that you have some of the Capricorn traits when it comes to, particularly when it comes to expressing yourself and your outward expression to the world. But some of them, like other ones though, are sort of, how do I say this? Like suppressed or drained from your personality, from your energy, particularly those relating more specifically to Saturn. So this idea of order and structure and hard work and authority, basically, things of this nature. So that's about it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Let's see, Chris still hasn't shown up, but if he doesn't show up tonight, we can always read his chart another time. Any questions about your life or your chart or whatever? Let's see. Relationships. Well, with your Sun-Venus conjunction in Aquarius, like I was kind of talking about earlier a little bit, that's going to align your sense of self with Venus things. And one thing that is very key with Venus is relationships and how you are in relationships. And so I would say there's a very good chance that relationships are a big focus for you, or at least a substantial focus, especially with this trine to Pluto. There may be a tendency to be sort of all or nothing in relationships, perhaps to be attracted to powerful people because Pluto is power. Another thing that goes along with that, with your having Venus in Aquarius, is that in relationships, I guess just kind of in general, Venus in Aquarius is showing affection in unique and unusual ways. So that would be, I think that would be the most relevant information from what I see here. Blurry again. Now it says we have 2 viewers. So glad to still get viewers this late at night. We're doing birth charts, as one can see. You are very welcome. I'm happy I could help. All right, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer, see if anyone else wants their birth chart read, see if anything else comes up. And if not, I guess I'll close down the stream. So we'll just sort of chill out here for a bit. Oh, hey, Chris, there you are. Well, Chris, we've been waiting for you. Mainly came back to read your chart, but I read someone else's chart, had a chat with Panic earlier, and I can read you your chart now if you are ready. Yes, indeed. Let's see. I can? All right, I shall. So I'll probably end up repeating some of what I said earlier, but we'll just sort of see what happens here. Of course, you have, I'm excited too. You have the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Aries. So you've got all that Aquarian energy. You've got Venus, Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter all in Aquarius. So yeah, I know that's so strange how it shows different numbers of viewers. Like right now for me it shows 3, and I guess for you it shows 1, and then there's I don't know what to think. But yes, Chris, you have a lot of that Aquarian energy. Funny enough, like Bella here, who we were just reading. So you've got a lot of that intellectual detachment. You're very welcome, Bella. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and have a great night. The intellectual detachment, the logical perspective on things, and seeing life from a much more mental perspective, being in the mental world and having understanding things in a more mental, logical way. Now, you're having the moon in Aries is going to fill you with a sort of underlying go-getter energy. And it is sort of, the moon is your subconscious. The moon is your underlying motivations. And so you could look to that Aries energy, that go-getter mentality, that willingness to act now, to do things now, as an underlying motivation for your actions in life. And let's see, what else do we have here? Your North Node in Sagittarius is opposite your Saturn in Gemini, which, funny enough, is also very similar to Bella, who we just read. Very interesting indeed. These, whatever you would call them, things in common. So your life purpose may have something to do with opposing order and structure, opposing the status quo, opposing authority, perhaps, these sorts of things. And since your North Node is at 2629 of Sagittarius, your South Node is going to be at 2629 of Gemini, which is conjunct to your Saturn within just over 2 degrees, which the South Node drains energy. So one theory for that would be that the Saturn part of your energy is drained. It's not as present as other parts. The order and structure may be lacking somewhat. The authority or sort of hard-working mentality may be lacking, Saturn things, essentially, Saturnian things. Let's see, a lot of mental feelings with people because people hurt my feelings. I think the reason why, because I'm a local celebrity here in my hometown. Interesting. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Jeez, people like you become well known and people think they can just say whatever about you. Um, but let me see here. Your Uranus is in a harmonious sextile to your north node. So that is likely going to connect your life purpose with something that is very different and unique. Like Uranus, the nonconformist, Uranus, the maverick, perhaps, Uranus, the um, rebellious one. So your life purpose is most likely anyway, a very unique and unusual one. Now it's also square to your moon. So there might be a challenge in harmonizing your life purpose with your emotions, basically, or your subconscious. Might be difficult to get those to reconcile. Things get very strange with local celebrities from extreme hurts to extreme love and caring people all at the same time. So glad you're supporting me, my good friend. Oh, well, I'm glad I can be here for you too. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject. Let's see, how's the stream doing here? All right. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Reminded me of something I was going to look at. Yes. Your Sun in Aquarius is in a harmonious trine with your Pluto in Libra. And that, similar to the last chart we were looking at, is going to have your ego or sense of self or conscious mind working well with the part of you that is transformative, that is all or nothing, that is unconscious, that is dark perhaps. Sun trine Pluto is literally like shining a light into the darkness. And so, like you talk about, people trying to hurt you and things of this nature. Well, you would be, I think, predisposed to a lot of powerful emotional healing with Sun trine Pluto because this energy is saying basically that it's much easier for you to shine the light of your conscious mind, of your awareness into the darkness and transmute that energy of pain or hurt or whatever into light, back into awareness. It's much easier for you to do that than most people. However, that might mean also that you attract those kinds of difficult or challenging situations. For example, you have Jupiter sesquisquare your Pluto, and Jupiter is going to amplify anything it touches. And so Jupiter sesquisquare Pluto, Pluto with all of its deep dark stuff, all of its all or nothing stuff, that could sort of predispose you to those sorts of hurtful things, unwanted challenges. And you have your moon opposite your Pluto within a little over 6.5 degrees. And as long as I have midnight for your birth time, and as long as that's about accurate, then you've got moon opposite Pluto. In fact, even because of the moon's location, even if the birth time was significantly off, it's almost certain that you've got moon opposite Pluto. Now, I personally also have the moon opposite Pluto, and that can predispose you to a lot of intense emotional upheaval. It can predispose you to paranoia, suspicion. It can predispose you to even obsessive behavior if you're not careful. It can predispose you to getting hurt very easily, and having trust issues and things of this nature. So the thing to realize, though, when we are looking at a chart like this, is that you chose this energy for a reason. You chose to incarnate with this specific energy for a reason. You chose these challenges for yourself. And so while they can certainly be very terrible, and I can certainly testify from my own life how terrible such things can be, the thing that I find more and more throughout my spiritual journey is that as long as we're here, whether we like the fact that we decided to be here with these specific challenges and this specific energy or not, the best thing to do is to try to work with it rather than against it. Because if you work against life, you're just going to be hurting yourself more in the end. The most logical decision that one can make is to try to work with the energy that you've got, work with life. And you see, I wouldn't despair if I was someone even with really difficult energy in my chart, because the worse the challenges, the more sweet and blissful the rewards of overcoming them, essentially. Welcome to the chat, to the stream, Ruben. Good to have you here. So Chris, do you have any questions about your chart or about any area of your life I could try to go over based on your chart? So you've also got the moon half square to Mars, so that might be another challenge for you. Might be harmonizing your emotions with your willingness to take action and your aggressive, assertive side of yourself, basically. And see, there's some other things I could say, but I will take your questions first because those will probably be more relevant. First time on my live stream. Awesome. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you here. I wasn't sure if I'd really get any viewers this late at night, but fortunately I am. My webcam's getting blurry. Let's fix that. All right. I've got to warn you guys, though, I am getting tired by now, so I don't know how much longer I can stay on, but as long as I have the energy, or enough energy, I'll stay here with you guys. Yeah, I'm a night owl as well. It's quite late here, though, 4:17 a.m. All right, let's see. Wait. Oh, wow, we're already almost an hour in. Okay. You can harmonize my emotions and hobbies and people. Between nice people and rude people, you can harmonize my emotions with the pictures I've showed you in the past of me and my you can harmonize my emotions with the astrology charts. Wait. People between nice people, rude people. Oh, I see. You're saying basically that, and yeah, that's a very good point. When you bring this stuff into your awareness, you see, the old saying, knowledge is power, is cliche, but it's so true. When you bring this stuff into your awareness and you understand your position in life and the universe, basically, even if you have faced very difficult challenges, even if you are still traumatized by things from your past, it becomes so much easier to deal with. Because you see, the idea is that you are never at the mercy of unconscious material. You are never at the mercy of your past. You are never at the mercy even of your own astrological energy. Those challenges are there for reasons meant to be creatively overcome. And these things can be used for, how should we say this? They can be used as springboards for creativity and creative development. And I'm not sure if I'm awake enough to get into how all that works tonight, but we'll see. We'll try. Can harmonize my emotions with the astrology charts. Yeah, that is essentially what happens. Yeah, it's one of the things I love so much about studying astrology is it helps me to understand my position in life and the world, and it makes dealing with life challenges infinitely easier. Infinitely easier. Oh boy. So, wait, let's see here. It's because it's meant to be for me, and I believe God, our loving God, set it in place for all of us. God had a plan for us in life, even through astrology. That's an interesting perspective and point, yes. Yeah, I think there's no reason that a recognition of the validity of astrology and a belief in God or a supreme being should be mutually exclusive, if that makes sense. Let's see, what else can we say about that? Yeah, because I mean, whether you want to say that we chose the plan for our lives, more individually or as part of God or source ourselves, or you believe in a divine creator sort of God who chose a plan for our lives. Either way, there is a plan, so to speak. Now, I don't believe that it's a specific plan. I believe that it's a general plan, whereas we, incarnate in physical reality, fill in the specifics as we go. And I think our astrological chart is a symbolic representative of that energetic plan, of that general plan. So, are there any other questions? I feel like I don't know what here. Give people some time to type, if anyone is typing. Yes, I love astrology. I love how empowering it is. God loves us. God knows what's best for us. I agree. And of course, my definition of God is source energy. I believe that the source energy part of us knows the path of least resistance to everything that we want. And that includes the path of least resistance in meeting and overcoming the challenges that we set up for ourselves, overcoming the resistance that we threw on our path, not to make ourselves miserable, but for the meaningful, spiritual, and also eventually joyful experience of overcoming it. So, yes, that's why I say follow your bliss, follow your excitement, because that's the way I believe that God or source energy communicates with us here in the physical, is through the vibration that we recognize as excitement or bliss or joy. appreciation, love, these sorts of things. I'm beginning to think the later at night it gets, the deeper it gets on these streams. I love the empowerment of realizing that we are never at the mercy of unconscious material or the challenges that we face in our lives. I love it. Because then all of a sudden life becomes this exciting, creative game that we can all play. Let's see. Well, if you guys have any questions, or Ruben, if you're still here, if you'd like me to read your chart, I just need your birthday. Birth time would also make it even better. And if you want to give me the general location, general location you were born, I can give you even more information, basically speaking. I'm gonna just look at some things on YouTube here real quick. I guess we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm up for continuing to talk about astrology and basically answer any questions as long as people are wanting to ask them, but otherwise I can shut this down. We can call it a night. Enjoy your shows. Excellent. I'm so glad we good. I thank you so much, sir. I'm glad that you really like it. Glad it can be a benefit to someone. You know, handful of people have been watching my streams. I'm very appreciative of that. Well, it's 4:27 right now. I say we give it 3 minutes till 4:30. See what happens. You have borderline autism? Well, that in and of itself is a very powerful thing, I think, in a good way. My theory on that is that you came forth into this reality with a decision that you're going to be, let me fix this blurriness, with a decision that you're going to be different in such a way that you will not be so easily categorized or controlled or whatever by the system or by other people. And so you are a powerful teacher of unconditional love, because when you came forth, you basically said, I'm not going to conform to make it easy for people to sort of get me to be what they want me to be. I'm going to be a powerful teacher of unconditional love. I'm going to, what are the best words for this? You basically said, I'm going to teach people that it feels better to love than to hate, or it feels better to love than to have any disdain for or try to control or whatever. You basically, I believe, came forth with a powerful intention to teach unconditional love, and that is very admirable indeed. I'm glad to hear that. So let's see, 4:29 a.m. Well, actually, that shows that shows up in your chart in a way as well, with your south node conjunct your Saturn, the area that drains energy. It's going to say that, you know, or even if we look at it as your north node opposite your Saturn, it's like saying your life purpose, or at least part of your life purpose, is to oppose the status quo, to not go along with the established order, and for very good reason. And also having the north node in Sagittarius, your life purpose being about that sort of reaching for idealism and beliefs. I could go on, but it's a lot to get into. When I was in school, I was in special ed classes throughout my school years, special education. Yeah, I remember those from when I was in school. I mean, I wasn't in them, but I remember them being around or whatever. Yeah. There's all kinds of theories about autism, you know, and I'm not really sure what I think of any of them. I just know what I think of my own spiritual perspective of it, which is basically that those who incarnate with autism or any similar sort of condition or whatever you want to call it, they come forth with a powerful intention to teach unconditional love. And it's quite the decision to make, is all I can say, you know. It's very powerful destiny. The kids are giving you a hard time. Yeah. The very challenging part of the human condition is that just by incarnating into these bodies, we are taking on a collective history of trauma, a collective ancestral history of pain. You see, my knowing is that everyone at their core is pure source energy, that everyone at their core is a good person, a loving person. I know that every single human being on this planet who is alive now, has ever lived, or ever will live, is at their core a being of pure positive energy. However, there are varying degrees of connection with that pure positive energy, and unfortunately here, for us humans, most of us are not connected with that. And when we get disconnected from that, that's when we hurt one another. And it's a really sad thing, but at the same time, my belief is everything happens for a reason, as cliche as that sounds. Everything is the way it is for a reason. It's a challenge meant to be overcome. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it is the situation, and it is the situation that we all chose to incarnate into, basically speaking. It's an individual and collective challenge that we all set up for ourselves. So, back in 1998, I was banned from amusement park because I had a mental meltdown. Six Flags Over Georgia. Security guards escorted me out of the park and banned me for 1 year. Well, that's what happens when people get frightened. They try to enforce control, you know, when they're frightened of what they don't understand. Because what those who were banning you or were trying to push you away were really saying is that they saw in you something in themselves, and they were frightened of that. They were frightened of themselves, essentially, and they were blaming you for it quite unfairly. And yet again, ultimately, these are the kinds of challenges we face in the human experience. But I would just advise remembering that, first of all, nothing is more important than that you feel good. And so my advice to people is always to do everything you can to feel good. Put the way you feel above all else. And yes, I'm advocating being selfish, because if you don't have enough um, stability within yourself, you can't offer anything to anyone else anyway. And so I always advise put the way you feel above all else. I remind people that you get what you think about, wanted or unwanted. And so, we're all sort of in this human experience. We have varying levels of connection with source, varying levels of disconnection, or really just pinching off from source that can make us mean and hurt one another, things of that nature. But on a very practical, day-to-day level experience, if you want to enjoy your life as much as possible, um, a deliberate focus on the positive as much as you can is going to be most beneficial, especially as you learn to transform the challenges of your life into something, a situation where you have overcome that, essentially. People frighten me, especially on Instagram. People have hurt my feelings on Instagram, other public places as well. Got in my hometown. Yeah. There are a lot of people who will indeed hurt other people, as I was saying, but that's only because they are, for whatever reason, disconnected or pinched off from who they really are themselves in that moment. No one ever really means to hurt anyone. But again, this place, this planet Earth, it's rough here. It's not an easy place to create in my opinion. One could say maybe that's a negative belief, but whatever. So I think Ruben left us. It says only one person is watching now. But I'm happy that anyone watches these streams. You were invited and then you were turned away? That's so odd. I guess people can't always make up their minds if they want to be in alignment or out of alignment. And so you'll get different responses based on either one, essentially. But I just always advise people to keep in mind that that ultimately you hold the power. Like your deliberate focus, the vibration that you are in, is determining what kinds of people you attract to you. And so one of my strongest recommendations, and I mentioned it in another stream, but this is what I've been doing personally as of late, and it works really, really well. And I have been making lists of positive aspects at the start of each day. The driver invited me to her daycare center. Then when I call her the next month, she tell me they don't want me to come there. It's like those false friends playing mind games with me. Yeah. Well, you might want to try out this process that I've been doing and see how it works for you, which is every day when you first wake up, get a notebook if you can, or a piece of paper, or maybe even on your computer. But if you can write this, it's the best. And pick a subject that is easy to feel good about, and then list all the different things that you like about that person, place, or thing for a good 20, 30 minutes or so, or however long you want to, really. And like pick a new subject every day and just enjoy the positive emotion that flows from that. And that sounds great. I'm glad. It is great. It's very great for me. And that will begin to slowly but surely shift your vibration. And the more you do that, the more that you will attract those good feeling things from whatever the subjects are that you're focused upon as you're making your lists of positive aspects. And also, you'll be less and less of a vibrational match to those unwanted experiences. So these people that are being such rascals and whatnot, you'll be less and less likely to rendezvous with them, and instead you'll be more and more likely to rendezvous with those who give much more pleasing experiences to you, basically. Those who you want to interact and rendezvous with. Christmas lights, meditating on Christmas lights. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Anything that can like distract your attention, distract your focus is great, I think. Like I think in the last stream, I think it was in the last stream, yeah. We were talking about briefly this idea of surrender and of being present. And really, like, meditation is just a form of that, So, and that is another thing I'd advise, with any challenges, especially if you feel like it's almost impossible to overcome certain things. The act of surrender will transmute that energy at once if you can fully surrender. But it's not always easy to just fully allow things to be, But if you can get into that very deep place and say yes to the present moment and just let everything as it is right now be okay, the deeper the yes, the deeper the surrender, the deeper the acceptance of the present moment, the deeper the surrender. And then that transmutes that energy at once. And then you'll gradually find that you're not rendezvousing with those difficult people so much anymore. And instead you're rendezvousing with much more pleasing people, essentially. And what's also great about that is even when you rendezvous with those who are difficult to deal with in some way, now you have a way of sort of taking your power back, and it might seem a bit paradoxical, it's like you literally win by surrendering, you win by letting go, you win by accepting, but that is how it works on a spiritual level. When you release your resistance to things, that's when things transform. So, it's been a very interesting stream. Music can be great. Of course, there's many different types of music, and so some music will make you feel better and other music will make you feel worse. But if it makes you feel better, that's always a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Yeah. I think listening to music helps a lot of people out. Oh boy, well, I don't know if I should get off yet or not, but I'm getting pretty sleepy, so I probably should. If you have any final questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, I think I'm going to have to get off. I think I'm getting tired and losing my voice again. Yeah, I'm glad we're friends too. Like, Like, I see anyone who is kind enough to watch my streams as a friend, like a friend from afar, but a friend nonetheless. So just be who you are, and know that who you are is perfect and who you are is right. Who you are is perfect and always becoming more. That's what we are all always becoming. We're always reaching for the joy of our expansion. Is how I like to describe it. So thanks so much for watching, Chris. I hope things improve for you. I hope I've been able to be of some benefit here, offering this knowledge. Douglasville, Georgia, Metro Atlanta. Oh, cool. Yeah. Like, I haven't been there or anything, but I can kind of envision that on the map. Yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you to everyone else who was watching, and thank you to anyone who watches this video back on my channel. And hope you have a good night, Chris. And it says you're the only person watching right now, so hope you have a good night, and hopefully everyone else is having a good night as well. That's it for me for now. I hope to see you and everyone else next time. All right. Have a great night.